Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz, your host of the Raiders Report, and coming up here on today's show, we're going to go through all the training camp news today, which kind of sad that today was the final Raiders training camp practice. Tomorrow on the show, I'll be breaking down some of the biggest winners and losers. I'm also going to talk about what we learned from practice today. We'll talk about Gardner. We'll talk about Aidan O'Connell. But if you didn't see what Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy said about the Las Vegas Raiders, that's the number one reason why you should tune into today's show, because I'll tell you this, it fired me up. Also, what's going to fire me up is when we get over 100,000 people tuned in for our Week 1 preseason watch party when we take on and take down the Minnesota Vikings. There's been a lot of this quarterback Aidan, this quarterback Gardner, they're struggling against this defense. Well, guess what? I can't wait to see what we do up against another opponent. I think at this point in the offseason, Raider fans have been butting heads. These players have been butting heads. They're going up against each other. You finally get to take out some of that anger. You finally get to take that out on another football team. And quite frankly, I hope everybody that tunes into today's show joins me, because we're trying to get to 171,000 subs, because I really hope that Maxx Crosby and this defense takes some anger out on J.J. McCarthy. According to Ben Gosling, who covers the Minnesota Vikings, he tweeted out, asked what was most eager to see in his first preseason game on Saturday. J.J. McCarthy said, a vanilla defense, honestly. All I'm going to say is this. I think that the Raiders have the best defense in the National Football League. I know Brian Flores isn't afraid to draw up some blitz plays, and he's probably been doing everything in his power to make the rookie from Michigan uncomfortable. But you know what's going to happen on Saturday? This defense is about to make McCarthy uncomfortable, and if he thinks that this Raiders defense is vanilla, man, oh man, I hope that he likes a lot of vanilla ice cream, because the vanilla that he's going to get, his name is 98. His name is Maxx Crosby. You're going to get Christian Wilkins. You're going to get Malcolm Koonce. You're going to get Tyree Wilson. You're going to get a bunch of sprinkles. You're going to get a big old dollop of some caramel, some nuts, whatever you want. I hope somebody teabags this guy, because everything that I just saw here from McCarthy fires me up, because we are not a vanilla defense. Let's talk about our side of the football now. Hopefully it's a little bit extra bulletin board material for AP and the crew. Vanilla defense. Get the hell out of here, McCarthy. Let's talk about Aidan O'Connell now, who looked sharp in the red zone drills today. Was able to find his guy, Trey Tucker. And, this just continues to be something that I feel like I talk about every single time I bring up Aidan and the quarterback competition. He clearly has a connection with Trey Tucker. They work together all offseason, and no doubt about it, when things are in a certain situation for Aidan, he's looking for Tucker across the middle. Found him today for a touchdown. He did get picked off today by Trevon Merrick. I did get a note that was like, I don't know if it was the drill that they were running, because he tried to throw one up, and it was double coverage. Jack Jones and Merrick was on the play, and just unfortunately, Merrick was the one that came down with it. I will say that, based on some of the notes that I received today, the deep ball, and one of my guys that's at practice said it just seems like it floats. And it scares me a little bit, because one of the things I used to always say last year about Jimmy Garoppolo was it didn't look like he was throwing a regular football. It looked like he was throwing a ball filled with helium. I'm not going out there on that limb. I'm also not comparing Aidan O'Connell's arm strength to Garoppolo. It's just when I hear certain things, it triggers me a little bit. And I know that Aidan doesn't have that strong of an arm. But, we still have to be able to throw the football effectively, and he has struggled throwing the ball down the field at training camp. Let's go to Gardner Minshew's side, because, we've been looking at this battle from scrimmage, from practice, and even Antonio Pierce today, when he took the podium, said that this battle is still essentially like status quo. It's still neck and neck. Both QBs will get at least one quarter against the Minnesota Vikings on Saturday. And just like Aidan, Minshew also looked good in the red zone drills, which maybe I think a lot of people are kind of hitting that panic button again on the quarterback play. I saw the video Chuggs did yesterday. I'm still not ready to quite hit that panic button. Obviously, you want your quarterbacks to play, but we're going up against one of the best defenses in all of the league. DJ Turner had a touchdown today, and Antonio Pierce, when he spoke to the media, was asked who are some players that have stood out. AP said not the players that you would think standing out. He mentioned some other guys. He mentioned a DJ Glaze, a Brock Bowers. The first name he said, though, was DJ Turner. And Turner continues to impress both offensively and in special teams. He had some balls sail on him a little bit today, some high balls, threw an interception as well to Isaiah Polameo, which, honestly, I don't know if the receiver would have been 20 feet tall if he's catching that ball. Isaiah Polameo just easily camped under it for a pick. So how about this? We obviously talk a lot about the quarterbacks here, right? And it's fair. When you are a quarterback of an NFL team, The spotlight is always going to be on you. It's the one position in the NFL that I don't care how good you are, how bad you are. You're always going to be underneath the spotlight. And when you look at this roster from top to bottom, it is our Achilles heel. It is the thing that if we can find a quarterback, this is a playoff caliber team. If you can't find a quarterback, you might struggle a little bit. So it's going to be the pinned comment here on today's show, which means you're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. I want you to scroll on down and give me your honest answer. Scale it from 1 to 10. How concerned are you about this Raiders quarterback room? My answer after this YouTube ad break. I'm going to go here and say that my quarterback concerns are a solid 6. And there is definitely room for concern. If anybody looks you dead in the eyes and says that they're not concerned about Gardner, Aidan, and the quarterback play for the Raiders, maybe I'm going to say you're lying, but then I also know how talented this defense is. I also know that this is the second year kind of with AP coming back last year, another year in the Patrick Graham system, learning a brand new offense with Luke Getsy. The offense compared to the defense talent-wise is definitely a lot less. But the other thing that a lot of people I don't think are fair to talk about is the amount of receivers that aren't right there at practice. Devontae's waiting on a baby boy. Jacoby's the main guy. Trey Tucker's the wide receiver, too. After that, it's like DJ Turner, shout out to producer Joe. He's a Tennessee guy. Randall Keaton's been stepping up for us. But, the depth for wide receiver is not nearly what it needs to be. And considering the fact of how talented our defense is, that also doesn't make the job easier for these quarterbacks at all. One player who just continuously stands out, and this has been somebody that I have said multiple times could be a legit breakout, and I've said that he is the most underappreciated safety in the NFL. It's Trevon Merrick. He looked great today, had an interception. You can really see that he's starting to put it together. He was good last year. If he takes another step like he did last season, I think a lot of people are going to be talking about Merrick in that top 5, top 10 safety conversation. Definitely making a bigger impact in terms of turnovers and just flying all over the football field. Him and Marcus Epps are really fun to watch there in the back end. Divine Diablo had a good day today, lost a little bit of weight. You can kind of see that some of that speed is starting to be able to pick up again. He's had a consistent camp, and the note that I got today from my guy at practice was consistency, and that's one of the things that AP preaches all the time. If you're going to be good in the NFL, you got to be consistent. And you know for a fact, AP being the linebacker that he is, wants to see his guys be a little bit more consistent. Isaiah Polameo, like I said earlier, picked off Gardner Minshew. He's no doubt the third safety on this team. Epps is legit, and I think if Epps and Merrick weren't so damn good, what's going to be really interesting for me is both of those guys are in the final year of their contract, and if it was up to me, I would extend Merrick over Marcus Epps. But due to how well Polameo has played, he could be somebody that the Raiders could go, you know what, it sucks losing Marcus Epps, but Polameo has really stepped up. And Patrick Graham uses a lot of this 3-safety look, linebacker-safety hybrid. I can't wait for the national media, Raider Nation, people who don't follow this show in the offseason to see how good this young man has gotten. The best player of the day today, and it really wasn't close. I love Jaden Grant. He's been a fun player to cover this offseason, a UDFA guy, but he tips the ball into the air, and Janarius Robinson, a big guy, interception. The Raiders' defense ended up coming down with 4 picks today, 2 on Anthony Brown, 1 on Minshew, 1 on Aidan O'Connell, but just this defense, I don't think that there's been a practice yet where this defense hasn't forced at least 2 or 3 turnovers. Let's talk about Maxx Crosby, the guy that I'm actually concerned for J.J. McCarthy's well-being if Crosby plays on Saturday, and if Crosby sees what the freaking McCarthy had to say about him. He had 2 sacks today, and he was great today. Tyree Wilson ended up getting a sack. I think Adam Butler ended up having a sack today as well, if I look at my notes real quickly. Another player that, and I love the fact that I got this note, because this has been a player that I've been critical on when the Raiders drafted him out of the 3rd round out of Alabama. It's Byron Young. And I'll be honest with you, when the Raiders drafted Byron Young, I thought it was the other Byron Young, actually from Tennessee is actually who I thought it was. And he's starting to get it. And that was the note that I got where, shout out to Crosby Wilkins. They're working after practice. They're putting in some of that extra time with Gerald McCoy. He was at practice today. But Byron, it's been a slow burn, but you can tell he's finally starting to get it. And it's kind of like the whole Tyree Wilson thing. It's not fair to always just give somebody like Aidan O'Connell the pass because of what he dealt with Josh McDaniels. But we can also say the exact same thing about Byron Young, who was put into a horrible situation with a cancer of a coach. And now you actually get somebody who knows what the hell he's doing on the defensive side of the football. It's going to be a process. For a guy like Byron Young, I'm looking at this season like a true rookie year, and it's good, though, that he's starting to get it. Player that did not have a good day today was Anthony Brown, 2 interceptions today, and I'll say the one was unlucky. The Janarius Robinson pick's an unlucky one. His other interception he threw, that was just a bad ball by AB. And you've kind of heard AP talk about, like, he likes the quarterbacks and, like, some of the different things you're seeing. No doubt Brown's going to get probably a whole quarter, maybe even a little bit more in that Saturday game, but he's still battling out with Carter Bradley. This is clearly Anthony Brown's job here at quarterback 3. One guy that I was very pleasant to see today was Jalen Guyton, and he got open often today. And it concerns me a little bit because if you say Jalen Guyton to most NFL fans out there, probably not the receiver that a lot of people are excited about, but he clearly showed that he's better than Tulu Griffin in terms of routes, better than Randall Keaton in terms of routes. A lot of hype around Christian Wilkerson was somebody that we were talking about. Guyton to me is probably in that wide receiver 5, wide receiver 6 range, but he was beating guys a little bit easier, and the one person that he gave fits today was the Cameron Richardson. And, as a young guy, 4th-round rookie, and you can see at times, when he can be an athlete, okay? There's not many guys on this Raiders roster that are going to out-athlete the Cameron Richardson, if that makes sense. And when he's going up against a guy like Guyton, yeah, we probably don't get thrilled about Guyton. He is, though, been in the NFL for 4 or 5 years, and you could tell it just ran a little bit more of a complete route tree that gave Richardson some struggles. When Richardson goes up against somebody that is, let's say, as equally as athletic and doesn't have a route tree, the Cameron with his physicality has shown that he can do it. When a receiver goes up against him that just is a little bit better of a route runner, think of somebody like Hunter Renfrow, not the athlete, but the tactician, that's where Richardson has struggled a little bit. So he struggled a bit today, but again, it's going to be a learning curve. He's been great on special teams, and he's going to have a good impact this season for the Raiders. Coming up next here, what we learned from practice today. The 5 biggest things. If you watch today's show, outside of the fact that J.J. McCarthy is a total fraud, I'm going to give you the 5 biggest things that you need to know from practice today going forward, because I'm just excited to see some actual Raiders football on Saturday. I'm also excited to see my bank count go up. Shout out to Rocket Money, and if anybody out there just needs to, save up a little bit of extra, maybe you're saving for a vacation. I've been saving up for a wedding and a house for what seems like forever. Go to rocketmoney.com/LV Raiders. They're sponsoring today's show, and if you don't know what it is, it's a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. With Rocket Money, I have full control over my subscriptions and a clear view of my expenses. I can see all of my subscriptions in one place, and if I see something I don't want, Rocket Money can help me cancel it with just a few taps. I love my fiance Alex, but man, she is the queen of signing up for a free trial and then forgetting about it, and then guess what? I get charged. Rocket Money helps me and her make sure we aren't just throwing money away. So if you're somebody that's trying to save up, you should definitely go to rocketmoney.com/LV Raiders. Another feature that I absolutely love is that you can track your credit score, which my dad's always asking, Mitch, what's your credit score? Dad, believe it or not, it's actually pretty good. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's features. So stop wasting money on things that you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/LV Raiders. In case you weren't paying attention, that's rocketmoney.com/LV Raiders. All those links are going to be available to you all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. All right, so let's get into what we learned today. The Raiders quarterback concerns, they are real. We have to be honest. And the one thing that's really starting to grind my gears with the nation is I don't know how we ever got so soft as a fan base where me saying that Aidan didn't practice well today or Gardner didn't practice today or the quarterback concerns are real. If that's me being a hater, well then I'm telling you what, we're about to get into a really, really rough patch in our lives. If you got to be able to step up here and say exactly what is the truth. If saying what's true is uncomfortable, you still have to say it. I treat this team, I treat this show, the way that I talk about it is the way that I would want my family to talk to me. If I did something that my family didn't like, I would want them to tell me about it. That way we could correct it. If I'm Gardner Minshew Aidan O'Connell and I'm not practicing up to the standard of what a Raiders quarterback is or looks like with this team, I want people to tell me about it. When Aidan and Gardner or whoever, they go out there and they sling a touchdown, I'm going to be one of the biggest guys up here celebrating and freaking out. Why? I bleed silver and black. But we have to be able to talk about something if it is true. And it is a truth that Aidan has not looked great. It is a truth that Gardner Minshew has not looked great. And I think the concern is with how great our defense is, you want these quarterbacks to step up. But I've also have said it. Like, there's been times where Aidan and Gardner both have looked good. And I'm not going to over freak out to practice because I know how talented this defense is. I know how this wide receiver depth is a little bit concerning. I know that we're trying to learn a brand new offense with Luke Getsy. But it is a cold, hard fact for Just Win Babies that the Raiders quarterbacks are starting to concern some people amongst the nation. And I don't know if Telesco and AP will ever admit it, and I don't really want them to admit it, quite frankly. But the quarterback concerns are real. Let's go to the next thing here. The wide receiver depth, I do think it's actually impacting the quarterback battle, and it's one of the reasons why I would like the Raiders to be able to add some more talent. No disrespect to Dax Milne. No disrespect to, Alex Bachman. No disrespect to Tyrell Bynum, some of these receivers that the Raiders have added over the past 3 months. Those aren't the guys that are going to really, truly show you what you can get. And the fact that Devontae's been away, waiting for his baby boy, you can't fault Devontae for that. Like, I would want him to go celebrate the birth of his child as well. But what it's doing right now, it's putting us in a little bit of a situation where it's like, we need to figure out what our quarterback room is. We need to figure out who that starter is going to be. And if you don't surround your guy with a lot of talent, you can't really see the most out of him. The Raiders' offensive line's been a little bit banged up too, which I was told today the O-line played a lot better, and they've been better over the past few days. And maybe that's something that James Craig just got to figure out. But, we got to get, I think, another receiver in this room, another person, and Jalen Guyton helped out today a lot, actually. But isn't that statement a little bit concerning? Jalen Guyton, he's helping out our wide receiver room. We just need another body there, even for special teams. Let's go to the next thing that I learned from practice today, and it's just been something that I think I have said time and time and time again. This safety group is legit. I think that if you look at the safety group on paper, not a lot of people are going to go, oh, wow, that's amazing. But based off of how well I expect Trevon Merrick to go, Marcus Epps is probably another, underappreciated safety where he was a captain, played the most snaps for the Philadelphia Eagles back in 2022, leaves that defense. And, the Eagles lost a lot of talent on that defense. But, you saw them go from being one of the best defenses in the NFL, making the Super Bowl, to one of the worst defenses in the NFL. Why? If you lose a leader, if you lose a captain on the back end like Marcus Epps, that hurts you. But it's not only Merrick and Epps. Isaiah Polameo has looked unflippin' believable. I'm telling y'all right now, multiple interceptions this offseason. He's put on some weight. He looks like, and I'm going to say this, when the Raiders drafted Tanner Muse, they drafted him out of Clemson, and he was a safety, and they tried to make him this linebacker hybrid. The way that Isaiah Polameo is playing and the way that I think he gets used this year is the way that the Raiders probably were hoping Tanner Muse play, or even a guy the way that we were hoping Jonathan Abram would look. We were like, all right, this guy's not great in coverage. Isaiah Polameo can cover. He can tackle. He can do a lot of different things. Trey Taylor's doing well. Chris Smith's doing well. This is a legit safety room. Let's go to the next one here. DJ Turner is a lock. Put it in right now. He's a lock to make the roster. Antonio Pierce was asked today about players that were impressive, and I talked about it earlier. First name he comes up with DJ Turner. Tom McMahon has said that DJ Turner has really impressed him. And he's impressed from a wide receiver standpoint, but also special teams. He's a hard-working player, and he might not be somebody that gets a lot done on Sundays. He might not be somebody that lights up the stat sheet. But how important he is to practice and how important he is to maybe some of those little things that go on behind the scenes, or him being a gadget player if they want to use Trey Tucker in a certain way. DJ Turner, I'm telling y'all right now, is an absolute flipping lock to make this roster. And if you don't see a 53-man with that guy on it, it's wrong. Before I give you the final thing that we learned today, is anybody going to be in Las Vegas this year? Bro, it is August 7th right now. I am recording this video, and I know I am stoked. I'm going to be out in Vegas next weekend. My question to the nation out there is, will you be in Vegas? Yes or no? Let me know when you're going to be there. And if anybody's looking for one of the best dinners they've ever had, I will say this, quote, it is the best dinner I've ever had. We're doing a Raiders meetup on August 14th, 9 p.m., after Raiders practice on Wednesday. Chuggs and I will be there with Taino Raider. We'll also be there with David Zahn. But we're going to get dinner at Ahern Hotel. If you want to make a reservation, go to Open Table, put in the notes section, Raiders Report for a discount. It is limited space, so make a reservation now. This link's going to be available to y'all in the comments and in the description. But if anybody at any point is planning on going to Vegas, Week 6 against the Steelers, what about week, 8 against the Chiefs, and you're going to be out in Vegas, make a reservation, put Raiders Report in there. I promise you it's going to be an unbelievable dining, drink experience. Let's go to the final thing that I learned today. Byron Young and Tyree Wilson are starting to get it, and we just got to have patience. I didn't expect a lot out of Tyree last season because I knew he was battling that injury, and, Byron, I wasn't really expecting much out of him either because of the talent. what you're seeing this year is you're seeing Byron Young get put under the wing of Christian Wilkins, who works second hardest on this team, probably only behind Maxx Crosby. And then you see Tyree Wilson, who, guess what? He's got his arms around both Christian Wilkins and Maxx Crosby. And Max is being really, really competitive with Tyree. Antonio Pierce has talked about it. But if these two young men can put it together and put it on the field, I just think it just goes to show how dominant our defensive line is. And I actually hope, I really do hope, that Byron Young puts his nutsack on J.J. McCarthy. I hope Tyree Wilson puts his nutsack on J.J. McCarthy. Because for the fact of that guy calling our defense vanilla, and I just suddenly got a craving for vanilla ice cream. And I'll tell you this right now, that's never happened before at all. If you want more videos around the Las Vegas Raiders, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you got those notifications turned on. I'm going to be live tomorrow. We're going to call Thursday happy hour here, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. And then we got an off day Friday. And then it's game day. Saturday, Raiders, Vikings. We're going to go live at least an hour before kickoff. Make sure you tune in to the largest, most watched, most insane preseason watch party covering the Raiders. And it's going to be here on the Raiders Report.